Welcome back for another episode of the Powerful and Passionate Healthcare Professionals podcast. And this week, we're bringing you another exciting speaker and a good friend and someone who's just being an awesome woman. She is Miss Kelly Springer. And why do we even bring her on today? It's because we know we eat food, we enjoy, some of us are really good foodies. But at the end of the day, how many of us in healthcare are just rushing it, get to the next patient appointment, or you wanted to sneak in another person because the 5 patients you had before keep delaying you. So you cut your lunch hour that's supposed to be at least half hour to barely 5 minutes. And then at the end of the day, when you go home, you really want to sit down, have a good meal with your family. What do you actually eat? Does that become like such a burden? Do we even know what nutrition means to us? So that's why we brought Kelly here. She is the owner, founder of Kelly's Choice, and her team has been meeting with doctors, organizations, really to truly bring people together and looking at nutrition as a big component of our health, our life, and then how we can optimize everything from that front. So welcome, Kelly.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. Thank you.
I mean, like, even for us, the first time we met, I felt like we just synced on the level. It's not even just healthcare. I think it's just a human being and how we function, right? And nutrition is a big part of why this show exists, is that pillar of physical health. And so what got you excited with this topic and going to become a nutritionist and now building this huge brand internationally, being interviewed and representing some of the amazing products out there?
So it's amazing that I got started in this field at like 16 years old. My aunt was a dietitian, and I got to see that she was able to use her degree with her family. And she was also, I got to see over the years that she could kind of reinvent herself. So, she went from a retail dietitian to a diabetic educator to a private practice. And I love that with our profession, with nutrition, that you're able to do so many different things in the community and also, with physicians and be a part of that medical team.
Right, exactly. And medicine in general is a synchronized team. We have the key components, and that's why we have subspecialties, right? Like I'm in heart lung surgery. I don't know that much about nutrition. And that's why we always like, ooh, our dietitian, yes, please tell us what to do, right? And because our mind is not in a way that we're supposed to memorize everything, that's not effective practice. And in any area, we don't even have to feel like we're Superman, Superwoman. And it's okay to leverage other people's knowledge and time.
Absolutely. So, and that's where nutrition is an ever-growing, changing field like the rest of medical. But I really feel in the last 5 years, we've even received more information that can help our patients. So we're constantly having to get more information and be learning. I'm really fortunate right now. I get to work with this amazing professor from Syracuse University named Margaret Voss. So Dr. Voss has been working with me on a weekly basis to keep me updated in the newest research and the newest biochem and really breaking down nutrition. So then I can take that message and relate it to my patient in an easy, understandable way. But nutrition education, like you were talking about, people actually haven't been educated. It's one of those things that we all eat, so we assume that we know what we're doing. So I kind of use the same analogy, like, okay, well, I drive a car every day and I know how to drive the car, but I honestly do not know how to do an oil change a tire. I don't know anything about the mechanics. And that's kind of how when I work with patients, I really understand they've never been educated. And this is a 7-year degree. So we have to really, truly take that information and break it down in a way. But a lot of the medical professionals they say people know how to eat. They know what to do. And honestly, they don't. They really don't. And so that's really like why I love what I do, is because you can see that light bulb like turn on and they're like, wow, I never knew this is how the whole thing went together.
You're so right. Just like there's so many people who focus on gut health, right? Just because everything that we eat is changing the way that we feel, the changing the way that our body chemistry is doing. And that's exactly your point was, and many people now start coming out with biohacking. What does your genetics, your DNA say about what disease you have? What should you actually supplement, right? It's not just like an all be all big umbrella, everyone take this one thing.
100%. We are all completely different. And, it was interesting. I got to take some integrative classes with Dr. Raj at Syracuse University years ago. My daughter actually had a overgrowth of bacteria in her intestine. So I was like, what is this? How does this work? And something we learned about Ayurvedic medicine. So, a long medical type of practice, but they do a timeline. And we find over this timeline that these patients have experienced different things. And we've all, been exposed to different toxins or had, different food come in or antibiotics. And throughout this timeline in Ayurvedic medicine, you actually get to see why digestive health may be affected or what's going on with that patient. So it's really interesting that we are completely individuals. Even though we came from our parents and definitely we have that DNA, we are all so extremely different. And depending on what our life, what happened in our life will change your need for different nutrition as well.
Right. So how do people identify that? I feel like most of us, we don't know what we don't know until someone give us that label. It's like, oh, this is what you look for. So then I can be more open to exploring these options.
Well, sadly, most times people are coming to us after they've gone to their physician and the physician saying, you actually need more education. We wish more people would come to us just to say, I want to become healthier or I want to learn. And we do see that, like I've seen over the last 10 years, that's starting to happen. Because people, especially over COVID, people are like, I want to get healthy. But they're kind of in the past, and still the majority, they're coming to us because the doctor said, this is wrong with you. Like you have IBS, or if you have diabetes, or you have this or that, whatever. So we're getting them after the disease has kind of taken hold versus the prevention. So hopefully in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, we'll change that mindset so that people are actually coming to us getting that education prior to getting diabetes and heart disease and everything else.
Exactly. It's always cheaper and more effective to go from the prevention side than the treatment side. We know how expensive healthcare costs are, right? And there are even statistics shown by a Columbia University that even primary care physician, 35% of them are overweight or obese. Mm-hmm. And they found that patients who have their primary care doctors who are also overweight or obese felt even being judged, and they don't really bring up diet, nutrition, exercise as much as the other physicians. So that being said, how are we not only become so knowledgeable in what we do, but are you, and everybody who's listening who are amazing listeners who are healthcare practitioners, where are you with your own health, with your own nutritional knowledge? Are you saying, I know it, I'm learning it, but are you doing it as well? What action have you been taking to make sure you optimize your nutritional health?
So that is an excellent question. And that's something that we were actually discussing last night over drinking wine. We had medical professionals in the room and we were discussing this exact topic. And I said, it is my job to stay healthy, to practice what I preach, to do what I need to do so that I can relay this message in a true and positive light. So I feel I'm over 40 now, and I honestly feel like I have figured out health for the first time. And I know that's crazy because I said I've been in nutrition since I was 16. But I finally am listening to the pieces and the biochemistry and learning from Dr. Voss and putting that into practice and seeing that if I do have protein and fiber for each and every meal, if I am exercising in the morning, my energy level is better. I feel good. My weight is consistent. And it's like, oh, so even for me as a medical professional, I'm like, what I say actually does make a difference. And now I have 2 teenage daughters. So I have to be the role model in healthy eating and living for them to see. And I know they're watching what I do and how I have the interaction with food. They are watching me. So it's really important to be that role model for them of what is health and what is healthy eating.
Yeah, that's so amazing because what you're saying, being role model, right? They're watching in our genetics. We have this thing called mirror neuron. So even you don't think people are watching, you are copying each other. Just like when we go to foreign country, right? I remember going to UK and my accent start changing, adapting just because you're listening, you're absorbing your environment. So it's the same thing as how we do day by day cases. So what do you think could be some of the misnomers about nutrition or things we don't know enough about that we haven't paid attention to?
Well, I think there's a lot of misinformation on the internet. I think there's a lot of social media influencers that are putting out really harmful information. So my advice is to make sure you're going to a registered dietitian for nutrition advice. It's extremely important because we do know the science behind it. We're not just willy-nilly telling people to do weird detox diets and things like that. I know it sounds, but truly people get sucked up in that. Weight loss is $1 billion industry and there's a lot of shysters out there. So just, it's interesting when I have patients come in and they'll bring products to me and they say, I thought this was healthy. And I'm like, well, let's look at it to see what's in it. What are the ingredients? What are you actually eating? And a lot of times they're shocked to find that this health halo food, this food that they, touted to be healthy, has artificial sweeteners. It has, processed grains. It has chemicals. And they're like shocked, or they never actually looked at the label to see what that meant. So I think we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of educating the public. And also, right now I actually have my intern with me, Avatal, who's going to be going down to DC. And I think we need to make some policy changes on what food we can serve in the US. And I do think we're getting there. I think we're going to move this this needle in this next decade.
Yes, it's just like if we think about restaurants putting in calorie counts on the menu, right? That's even the first step to say, hey, if you already see there's certain type of number attached to the calorie, are you going to make a better judgment not to consume that? Or knowing there is a maximum amount of calorie in your day, if I have this, you have to remove something else from your diet. And it's, of course, also harder if we prepare our own meal because you have to be consciously calculating. I remember back 2 years ago when I was doing a fitness competition training, I was measuring everything, right? You down to the ounces of protein, the vegetable, the specific part. I'm like scooping out my avocado in the ledge of whatnot. And my friend will make fun of me. Oh, did you have your 10 almonds today? Like, right? But when you do that consistently, it actually doesn't feel like it's work because you already pre-prepped that for the whole week. I don't actually have to think about my healthy choices. There are only so many choices, my 5 meals a day, and that's it. And of course, not everyone should be eating multiple meals a day. And some people do need to fast, whatnot. And that's more important to talk to people like you, the nutritionists.
Yeah. And I do think that a big piece is preparation and awareness. So if you're not prepared, you are going to have, that frozen pizza for dinner, if you didn't have the vegetables and chicken already made, right? So that's where the preparation is something key, but the awareness is a big one. Like you talked about the calories on the menu. People just actually aren't aware of what's going in their mouth. In America, we have food all around us. There's constantly different parties or situations where this food is there. And sometimes we're not even aware that we're eating. One of my favorite stories is we get to go to these food shows and, we're tasting food all day long. You're at 35, 1,000 vendors or something like that. And we leave there and say, where are we going to dinner? And it's like, we didn't even have the realization of eating or calories. So, and that's where just understanding and being aware and having that mindful aspect is something that's very big in nutrition as well. Not just what you're putting in, or just being aware of when you actually are eating.
Yes, yes, yes. I experienced that too, especially when you're gathering, as you're saying, because if the option is there, even you're not hungry, guess what? Your intention is that mirror neuron again. I'm just going for it. And that's when people's like, oh, I'm breaking my diet. And I remember like when I was training, I would still go out with my girlfriends, but I would not eat. I would drink water only. And if I have a glass of wine, I'm already thinking about, oh, I'm gonna cut. Like, what do I cut for the rest of the night, right? And so without that awareness and super intensity of understanding your choices has a consequence, of course, we just, what we say always, YOLO, go with the flow, right? And you figure out as you go.
Well, that's why, what is it? 1 in 3 Americans has type 2 diabetes at this point, because it truly is an unawareness. And honestly, I really do believe it goes back to education. I think if people were educated from school age and up and through, that we wouldn't have these issues. I think if we really understood what we were eating and had the education, we would make better choices. And I just think it's the lack of knowledge. So that's what we try to do. Like, the only thing I sell is education. You know, we work in the way of private practice, worksite wellness, with media, but really and truly my goal is about population health and educating as many people as I can. So, you know, going on podcasts like this or being on television, I want to be able to share that message that we can all do this and everyone has the power in themselves to make those changes. So you sent us that questionnaire about health, right? And it was just interesting to go through that and have that self-awareness. And I think that maybe we should be doing even that more, even in elementary school, to kind of check in with kids of where you are with mental health, physical health, you know, emotional, with your family. I think all these parts of health actually are important as well. And they all tie back to nutrition.
Yes, yes. So what Kelly meant is, if you being a listener for the show, you know that I ask our speakers to do a holistic life assessment on themselves, because it's hard to be an expert in everything that you do. And it's okay not to be an expert in everything that you do. You can just be a expert in that one specific thing that you love and you have skills in. And that's what I always talk to you guys about, being in your own desire zone and not to get into the distraction, disinterest, or the dreadful zone that you feel like you can't even get out of it, right? Like, then what's the point of living? And that has a 10 key component of life. And just like what Kelly is saying, research have shown us self-awareness, right? The self-determination theory tells us the more we understand ourselves, where we are, then we can become more resilient, more persistent, and become someone who can produce the result, because awareness at the end of the day, right? So Kelly, what did you thought about when you saw the life wheel and then when you were taking that assessment?
So something we're working on right now, and it's hard as a small business owner, but the financial health piece is a tough one for me. And, you know, it's something I've been looking into, of actually having it be a part of our platform, of having an expert in financial health. And I know if I'm struggling with it, then a lot of other people are too. And the stress of that can affect your food choices, right? So it's interesting how it all kind of correlates. But right now, you know, we're talking about, you know, how much money do we need to put away, or how much do we need to raise, or what is our budget? And that financial health piece, and it kind of like was glaring this morning, as I think that a lot of other things in my life are really great. But that one is like, I'm like, I just really like nice things. That's the problem. So, you know, it's just, I think that that's something I need to work on, and I am taking steps towards that. But that's something I really, in 2022, want to really focus on and get on top of that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that authentic share. For sure, our career advancement and financial intelligence are two different things, right?
Yeah.
So, how do we feel about what we do? And yes, some of the result and is the financial security that we're able to build, and part of it is also our personal mission, right? You're creating this huge movement with nutritional education, but because everything is intertwined and they are dependent on each other, that's why, as what Kelly is saying, those things actually being affected. If you're not healthy, if you don't know what to eat, your gut is gonna bang and be so angry at you, and then you don't feel energized. Then how can you be productive? How can you have the best sharp mind and focus to create all those amazing things you want to create in life, nevertheless to support the people that you want to support, right?
Mhm.
So we so appreciate you being here. So how I know one of the big thing about Kelly's Choice is giving education, and not only for our patients but organization as well. So for people who are in running a private practice, right, or a large organization, not only we need to know better nutrition so we can share with our patient, but your individual team members should also have those tools. So would you like to share a little bit more about those things?
Yes, and that's where, I do believe that if healthcare providers got more nutrition education, they would have more of, I guess they would feel empowered to share that information, with their patients. So right now, even I'm working with a therapist who understands now of how much nutrition can actually impact her patients. But she's learned. So isn't that interesting? So we actually have a worksite wellness platform that could go out to any medical professional, so that they can learn through video content, newsletters, blogs. It's so easy. There's an app. You actually have a dietitian in your back pocket. There's no AI. It's real people promoting real food, and it's something that I'm really just like driven right now to get more and more health professionals educated, because I know it will trickle down to the patient and they will definitely feel stronger in their beliefs of being able to speak about this.
Amazing. Everyone, go check out Kelly's Choice, and you will be amazed how much content that she has out there. And for
And
us,
we can help, just so you know, too, we can help any of your patients. We are nationwide. We have a telehealth platform. So send us referrals. We would be happy to take any of your patients. We know that registered dietitians sometimes can feel like finding a purple unicorn. It's hard to find us. So we really, truly can work nationwide in helping with any of your health conditions for your patients.
yeah, especially for all these smaller clinic, you don't have the big hospital or internal referral, just send it out. And
Mhm.
who do you even ask, right? And then that's why you go to Kelly's Choice, send out that referral so your patient can be truly supported. And when they gain those benefits and they trust you even more and continue to
Right.
feel empowered about this one part of their life, and with self-efficacy, my research also showed you just have to focus on one thing. If you can believe yourself in doing this one thing, everything else start coming into line.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're here to help, and we'll fax back information so you know what we're talking about and have that continuous of care. So we love working with PAs, NPs, physicians, and being able to be a part of that medical team.
Amazing. Besides just searching for Kelly's Choice, who or what other ways would you like people to find you or connect with you guys?
We are just trying to get to that 10,000 on social media. So if you can, if you can go to Instagram and follow us, I would truly send you a thank you note. It's Kelly Springer _RD. And we're just trying to get that last 500 to get to our 10,000. So anyone out there, please share it with your friends, but Kelly Springer _RD. And I would greatly appreciate it. We've been like trying to get there. So that would be fantastic. But our website is kellyschoice.org. So if you want the referral forms, they're right there on kellyschoice.org. You can reach out to our sideline number. We have an awesome scheduler, awesome insurance billers. So, just reach out to us and we'd be happy to help your practice.
Amazing. Thank you so much. If you've been loving this episode, please leave a review on iTunes or comment below wherever you're listening and watching this show. And then we so appreciate you. And please let us know what is the best thing you took away and what other topics you would love to learn more. Until next time, guys. Bye.